The United States Senate has rejected a resolution that sought to limit President Donald Trump's authority to continue military operations involving Iran without additional congressional approval. The closely watched vote represents a significant political victory for the Trump administration while highlighting deep divisions within Congress over the scope of presidential war powers. The proposal, introduced under the War Powers Resolution, aimed to require the administration to end certain military operations against Iran unless Congress formally authorized their continuation. Although the measure attracted bipartisan attention, it failed to secure enough support to advance. As a result, the administration's current military policy remains unchanged. Tensions between the United States and Iran have intensified in recent months following a series of military operations, regional security incidents, and diplomatic setbacks. The conflict has raised concerns about the possibility of a broader confrontation in the Middle East. In response, several members of Congress argued that any sustained military engagement should receive explicit authorization from lawmakers, as outlined in the U.S. Constitution and the War Powers Resolution of 1973. They contended that Congress has the responsibility to decide whether the nation enters prolonged armed conflict. Supporters of the administration, however, argued that the president must retain sufficient flexibility to respond quickly to emerging threats and protect U.S. personnel and allies abroad. The Senate considered the resolution during a tense debate that reflected differing views on national security and constitutional authority. Supporters of the proposal argued that congressional oversight is essential whenever U.S. military forces become involved in extended hostilities. They maintained that requiring congressional approval would strengthen democratic accountability and ensure greater public debate before expanding military operations. Opponents countered that restricting the president's authority during an active international crisis could weaken the nation's ability to respond rapidly to evolving threats. They argued that maintaining operational flexibility is critical for protecting American interests and supporting allies in the region. Following the vote, the resolution failed to advance, leaving current military operations under the existing presidential authority. The outcome generated immediate reactions from lawmakers across the political spectrum. Administration officials welcomed the vote, describing it as an affirmation of the president's ability to direct military operations during periods of heightened international tension. They emphasized that maintaining flexibility is important for responding to fast-changing security challenges. Lawmakers who supported the resolution expressed disappointment, arguing that Congress should play a larger role in decisions involving the use of military force. Several indicated they would continue pursuing legislative efforts to clarify or limit presidential war powers in future debates. The vote has renewed discussion about the balance of power between Congress and the president. Under the U.S. Constitution, Congress holds the authority to declare war, while the president serves as commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The War Powers Resolution was enacted to ensure congressional oversight when U.S. forces are engaged in hostilities for extended periods. Legal scholars remain divided over how the law should be interpreted in modern conflicts, particularly when military operations involve limited strikes, regional security missions, or rapidly changing threats. The latest Senate vote underscores the continuing debate over where the constitutional boundary should be drawn between executive authority and legislative oversight. The Senate's decision comes as governments around the world continue monitoring developments in the Middle East. Regional allies are closely watching U.S. policy while international organizations continue encouraging diplomatic engagement to reduce tensions. Analysts note that prolonged instability could affect global energy markets, commercial shipping routes, and broader international security. Financial markets have also responded cautiously as investors evaluate the potential economic consequences of continued geopolitical uncertainty. Although the resolution failed, the broader debate over U.S. military involvement is expected to continue in Congress. Lawmakers may introduce additional proposals seeking greater oversight of future military operations, while the administration is likely to maintain that existing presidential authority is necessary to respond effectively to international threats. Future developments in the Middle East, as well as any changes